Welcome back. Hope you're refreshed, ready to go. I'm looking at some of the questions that are coming through. When should we learn all this while working? Remember I told you, don't get too overwhelmed. In any business that you're going to grow, you're going to be a little out of balance while you're learning and doing. And that's okay to be a little bit out of balance while you're learning and doing. You're going to be developing some skills. You're going to have a specific business plan for it. You're going to not overwhelm yourself. You're going to give yourself time, but you're still going to have some urgency in doing this. You're going to be practicing. You're going to be learning. You're going to be doing. Those are the different kinds of things. So you need to do something that's in alignment with your goals again. If you have smaller goals, you can take more time. If you have bigger goals, you need to move a little quicker, okay? So people are asking about the difference also between GoPro Coaching and GoPro Academy. We have some GoPro coaches that are high level. That deal with the inner game. This is different than GoPro Academy. This is me coaching you. It's a GoPro Coach. We have a team of people that it's kind of higher level stuff that you can access if you want to, and pay them to coach you personally. And you can contact our office if you want to get more information about GoPro Coaching. If you want to just be coached by me and get access to all of these courses, GoPro Academy is what I would say is maybe a more affordable for the average person process to be able to do it. So the office will answer the rest of your questions as we go through. So if you're ready for strategies, let's start on strategies. We have some goals now. And again, this is a starting point. We created these goals. You started writing these goals down, and some of you haven't even written all your goals down. You just have the categories. And later you need to come out, okay, how many do I want to recruit? How many times do I want to bring in 20 and 30? You know, what's my rank advancement goal by this date, this date, this date, this date? How many customers do I want to have in month 1, month 3, month 6, month 9, month 12? What are the habits that I'm going to work on first? What's the first habit, second habit, third habit? While you're reprogramming your mind for more efficiency and productivity. What skill am I going to work on first? Those types of things. But now what I want to do is give you the raw materials, some different campaigns and ideas to help you hit those goals, to help you make those goals a reality. Okay? So let me just find my list of strategies that you can use in order to be able to hit those goals. We'll move over here again, get a fresh page, and start talking about strategies. One of the most powerful strategies for hitting your goals is events. Strategy number 1 is events. Now, inside the strategy, this is one strategy that worked well for me, that I was able to, I could invite people and share a vision with them, get them excited about an event. I could do that with my team, and that made up for a lot of other lack of ability. But if you want to inspire your team to do more, get them to an event. Events are where leaders are born. Write that in your notes. Events are where leaders are born. I will tell you, this is the lifeblood of what it is that we do inside of our business. And there's different kinds of events. There's company events that you can use in order to be able to achieve your goals, whether it's rank advancement, leadership development. If leaders are born at events, if you're trying to grow the number of influencers, you need to get more people with the potential to be an influencer at your company events. That's what you need to do. If you want to, whatever it happens to be, company events are primary. You got to make sure in your next 12 to 18 months that you have all your company events in that calendar, and you have a very specific game plan, and we're going to talk about strategy, game plan to get those people to attend that company event. I'm going to give you some of the best stuff I got on doing that. Then on top of company events, you have regional events. Maybe they're within driving distance from your local city. When are those? And put those into the calendar, and how are you going to use those? Think of these as tools. If I was looking at your business plan, I was looking at the business plan to launch Apple, I would want to know what's your strategy in order to launch Apple. What's your business plan in order to be able to do it. Now, you apply that same thought process here. If you're a publicly traded company, I would ask you, your distributorship was publicly traded, people could buy or sell based upon what you were doing in your game plan. I would ask you, what's your strategy to get more people to company events, knowing that this is a major piece of a measuring stick of the health of your organization? What's your strategy to utilize this regional event as an asset, as a resource? What's your strategy to get more people to attend? Do you have a strategy? What's the number? How are you going to make that number a reality? So regional. Then you have local. Local events. Now, that local event could be a training event. It could be a gathering of distributors. It could be home parties. It could be luncheons. All those different kinds of things. What are the local events and how are you going to use those to hit your goals? These are all raw materials in order to be able to make these goals that we already listed a reality, whatever they are for you. So think about company events, regional events, local events. Then you've got your recruiting events. You know, some of these are training, recognition, team building. You have just your recruiting events, your luncheons, your home meetings, your two-on-ones, your small groups, your breakfast meetings, whatever it happens to be. You have training events. And here's why training events are important. If you look back in your goals, one of the goals is skill development, right? Leadership development, skill development, all of that stuff. If you get your people into training, some people think training is just something that just sits out there and, you know, hopefully people plug in. What's your strategy to get people into a training event? Some of these events are online events. Sometimes the company has a Zoom call, or your team has a Zoom call or a Skype call or whatever it happens to be, record or Facebook Live or something that you can connect to. What's your strategy to utilize training, recruiting, local, regional company events in order to be able to maximize your success and increase your chances to make your goals a reality? Next is what I call events around events. I'll tell you what I would do. If there's a company event, a destination event, I'm going to have a team event before that event starts in that city. So let's say the event is Friday, Saturday for the company convention. Thursday night, I would have an event with my team. Sunday morning, I'd have another event with my team. Maybe during the event itself, I'd have a lunch with my team, or I'd have a breakfast with my team. And I would use this as leadership development. I would use this as recognition. I would use this to build a culture within my organization and also keep people focused. Come into the event primed and ready to get the most out of it. Stay focused through the event, and after the event, bring all the information that they got, put it together into a game plan and strategy. This is one of my secret weapons that I used over the course of my distributor career in order to be able to have massive success. I'm still astounded how few people do this. This is a major, major tool in order to be able to help you hit the goals that you've set for yourself. If you're not using this, you're missing out. You're missing out. So these are some of the things around events. I'll just look quickly. If you have questions about events, any questions about events, just throw them up on the screen. Go ahead and type them in. Or Marina, is there any questions on events? No questions on events? All right, if you do have them, put them into the comments screen and I'll answer them when we get to the next section, okay? So events are another big piece of this. After we have this, you need to think about your calendar as a tool and as something to plan around. And most people don't do this. Most people are reactionary and they're not proactive when it comes to calendar. And what do I mean by calendar? If this is a business plan, and let's say it's the holiday season, do you think the retail people of the world are planning for the holiday season a long time ahead of time? Of course they are. It's a huge season for them. They've got plans and marketing and advertising and sales and specials and promotions. Anything possible. When people are in the buying mood during the holiday season, they take advantage of that situation. Now, can you imagine a retailer that just started planning for the holiday season December 1st? I mean, you'd have to call him an amateur, right? You'd have to call him an absolute amateur. Now, in your calendar, I want you to think about your calendar. You've got hot spots where you get a lot of productivity, typically, and then you have times that are less productive. So let's talk about the naturally slow times. The naturally slow times now this might be different for you. It depends on the organization. I'm going to give you typical natural slow times in a calendar year. And like I say, based upon your product or service, it might be different. And if it is, just think of what your natural slow times are. You've got January 1 through 15. Everybody thinks new year, I'm ready for a fresh start, but usually people are in a post-holiday depression for about 2 weeks. They don't get into productivity for about 2 weeks. So January 1st through the 15th is a naturally slow time, typically for network marketing. Don't get off to a fast start if you haven't planned for it. Next you have April 1 through 15. This is typically in the US because people are preparing for their taxes and they're stressed out. So they get distracted in this little period of time if you haven't thought it through. Then you've got summer, June through August. Those 90 days, if you haven't planned around it, people, and we're the first to say, oh, people are distracted. People want to spend time with family. People are not interested in business. That's not true. We've taken our eye off the ball. And we haven't created campaigns and strategies to maximize that time. Then you have the end of year holidays. Whatever those holidays are for you. These are generally, now you can think about where it is in your organization, but this is generally things for you to consider. Now, if you can come up with some strategies to keep your people engaged during these periods of time, you can increase your productivity over the course of the year by 50% to 100% easy. Easy. Imagine your team accelerates June through August and everybody else's team slows down. Imagine your team accelerates in the holidays because of your planning and everybody else's slows down. Imagine your team kicks off the year January 1 and everybody else in your company doesn't kick into gear until the 15th, 16th of the month. Imagine that, right? So this is something you need to plan on far in advance. Here's what happens typically. June comes along and people are still they just finished May and they had a great month. And June starts and it just slowly starts to peter away and they start pushing the team a little harder and they start trying to tell people to do things. And then, it's, let's say it's July 1st and they say, well, we got to do something. And they try and throw some campaign together July 1st. The team's not prepared, they're mentally checked out and they can't get anything moving. So they say, well, I guess I should just give up. I'll wait till September, kids get back in school and then I'll go to work. That's what the amateurs do. Professionals plan for a 3-month campaign during the summer in order to be able to keep productivity up, because make no mistake, you watching this right now, I want to coach you on how you can get more market share inside of your company, because it's a market share game. If you're 1% of the company right now, we want to get you to 2%, then 5%, then 10%. Imagine if you're 50% of the company, 80% of the company. These time periods, these naturally slow ones, or whatever the naturally slow ones are in your organization, are the times when you gain market share. When they go to sleep, you're going to work, right? Be smart around these times. Turn these into the highest growth times of the year for you. So be aware of this, and we're going to create some strategies. Now, I'm going to give you some different ideas that you can do. Some different ideas. And before I do that, let me just tell you one thing. Look, anybody out there have kids? Anybody out there have kids? If you have kids, you know, and you've had your little toddler or whatever, and they're crying, and there's no real reason to cry. They're just in a bad mood. They're bored, right? They're not messy. They're not hungry. They're just restless. They're just bored. And you take a toy. and it's a new toy. You go, and they go, oh, cool, a new toy. And you put it in front of them. Oh, they're playing with the toy. The toy's so cool. That's what network marketing is for us sometimes. And our organization is kind of like kids. So after you've done this for a little while with that baby, you come back and do it with the same toy again, and you've lost them. They're not interested. You have to have a new toy. Look, a red one. And they go, oh, and they're happy again. So what we have to do from time to time as leaders is we have to keep it consistent, not change our whole system, but make it feel fresh. And some of these campaigns, these calendar-oriented campaigns, can make it feel fresh and exciting. So if we create something for them, they've been looking at this for forever. Yeah, I know. Same product. Yeah, I know. Same comp plan. Yeah, I know. Same weekly meeting or monthly training. Yeah, I know. And they get bored. So every once in a while you got to go, hey, look, red. They're like, oh, cool. And we're going to do this thing for 2 weeks. And it's really pretty close to the same as this, but we gave them an excuse to get excited. Does that make sense? So when I go through these, I want you to think about that in those terms. So if you did a New Year kickoff, some campaign that at the first of the year, a reason for people to engage, some sort of a promotion, contest, incentive, event campaign, product campaign, something that would get them all excited, then you're going to get better results during that period of time. Let's say you take Valentine's Day. It might be a stretch for you to connect your product or service to Valentine's Day, but if you can do it, do it. A gift for somebody else, or something, around couples, or something around relationships that you can do. Find a way, just an excuse to have something else to do in February. Do it on social media, do it at your events, do whatever. Come up with something around Valentine's Day. Next is tax time. Tax time, people are stressed out. What if you talked with people about the tax benefits of being in business? What if you took this period of time and you did a campaign that showed people the importance, especially now in the United States with the legislation that is being considered, you've got to be in business for yourself. Being an employee is the worst place in the world to be. So if you had a campaign around that first 15 days of April here in the United States that would have a story to tell, and you put it all together, and you had all the recognition events and incentives and peer pressure, the whole works, you're going to get better results. You got getting ready for summer. If you're nutritional, skincare, weight loss, any of those types of things, get ready for summer. Get out of hibernation. Let's get going. You can come up with a campaign around that. Getting into shape, fitness, whatever it happens to be. You've got schools out. Coming up with June through August strategies. This is a major, major time to be able to come up with those strategies. We'll talk about some of those things as we move forward. You've got back to school. If you come up with a campaign around back to school, then you can get people excited and accelerating into the really growth periods of September, October, November are incredible growth inside of our business traditionally. And February, March, April are another, outside of a blip in a period of April, are great, great months. May too, great, great months. Summer, you got another one for summer. You can do, here in the U.S., it's the 4th of July. You can have team events. You could have a contest. You can talk about Independence Day, really. And there's different versions of that all over the world, whatever your Independence Day is. You got Black Friday. Cyber Monday. What if you came up with a strategy now for the next Black Friday and Cyber Monday for your team? Work with your company, create some awesome thing, when people are ready to buy. They've got their credit cards and they're ready to go. They're looking for deals. You come up with something like this. You got Christmas and New Year's. The whole purpose of this calendar section is for you to think about what you can do in the calendar to maximize the year, and think about it ahead of time. Think about it before it happens. Come up with your strategy for January, February, March, April. Think about something you can do every single month. Now, I'm going to give you some more things to do inside of here. I just want to make you aware of the calendar and aware that it's your job to manage it. So write this in your notes, please. It's your job to manage the calendar. And the calendar is your boss. You've got to fill that calendar with activities and campaigns and strategies that keep people excited, still doing the fundamentals, keep them excited, engaged in a campaign, doing something that more than they would have done without you. That makes you an influencer. When you step into this game, you start to manage this, you start, one, you have more independence because you're creating it. Two, you're solving problems because you're fixing all the holes within the year. Three, you're creating action when there wouldn't be action in the first place. So this management itself makes you an influencer, which is one of the most valuable things in all of network marketing, an influencer, okay? So this is for something for you to pay attention to. So let me, I'm going to go to some event questions that Marina has thrown up for me. Susie asks, events, what if your upline is doing them? That's fine. But here's what I will tell you. Of course, plug in. What camera am I looking at? This one or this one? Doesn't matter? Okay, this one? Okay, cool. So if you're doing events, or if your upline is doing events, that's fine. Plug in, get the leverage of that. But here's what I will tell you. At some point, it's important that you step out and you create an event and you say the words and your team is on the stage and you've stretched and gone beyond your comfort zone and you have created some action that wouldn't be there without you. So long as you're not competing, find another time to do an event. You're not competing. So a person was asking, Lori was asking, what would be a great event prior to our company convention? That's an example. I started, one of my mentors was really big on events around the events. So we started at the beginning doing them together as a kind of a leadership team. And the Thursday before the event started, we would typically have like a pool party at one of the hotels or something if it was a warm location in the afternoon for people who wanted to get in early. Everybody was socializing, hanging out. And then that evening, we would have a training event for about 3 hours. 6 to 9, 7 to 10, something like that. And it would be designed to get people mentally focused and ready for the event. And people were excited. And we had some team camaraderie, and we had our goals as a team, and we're going to go in there, we're going to maximize. During the event, so that's what I would do at a pre-event, maybe have something social, and then have a little business, get everybody focused. So they enter the event stronger. During the event, you can do lots of different things. You could have a luncheon, maybe with one of the corporate executives in the company or the top earner in the company or something. Have them come say a few words. Your team feels special. You could have a breakfast that was kind of a compare notes type of a breakfast during the event. Those types of things. You can get a big suite and have everybody come to the suite that's done X, Y, and Z. So if they've qualified to come to the after party in the big suite, then they can come up and do that and take lots of pictures, and people love those types of things. And then after the event is another training event. It's really important. At big events, big company conventions especially, people are overwhelmed, like I'm probably overwhelming you right now. People get overwhelmed, and sometimes if you're not careful, they'll leave the event, and if you've ever experienced this, after the event, they don't go into productivity for like 10 days. They're tired, they're overwhelmed, they're confused, so they don't go into productivity. You have to create a strategy in that 2-3 hours at the end of the event to focus everybody on what they learned and what the team is going to do, and then give them an assignment of what to do as soon as they get home, to get their people together and do this. Have the recap of the event the next Saturday in their hometown, whatever it happens to be. So you give them the assignment so they go and are more productive. So those are some ideas on that. Is there a strategy to prioritize the various events? Well, the only thing that gets major priority is destination events, company destination events. Now, in Network Marketing Pro, we have some big learning events, and people have wild success at GoPro Recruiting Mastery or Most Powerful Women in Network Marketing, which is coming up in April. GoPro Recruiting Mastery is next December. Beyond Leadership is a leadership development event that we do. Those events should always be secondary to your company events if there's ever a conflict. The company events are the lifeblood. You can never miss. You have to go. So I would do that first, and then make sure you have your daily and weekly, monthly operation in your local, and then the middle would be the third priority to fill in. That's what I would do, to do that with the calendars. I hope that helps. Frequency and approach for promoting the events. I'm assuming Gary is asking. Is that what he's talking about? We'll talk about this a bit more, but I am relentless when it comes to promoting events. So frequency is I don't stop. The group is just absolutely sick of it. They end up signing up for the event just because I won't shut up about it. I mean, it's just constantly casting the vision, constantly selling the benefits, constantly saying this is going to shave 6 to 12 months off of your learning curve, constantly saying let's go have an adventure, constantly saying together at this event we're going to conquer the world, constantly pushing, helping to solve the problem. The problem is they don't see enough value to attend. You need to be an influencer that solves that problem so they do attend. So you've got to, I don't say do whatever it takes. Those are dangerous words. But you have to adopt a philosophy that this is just not negotiable. If I hated your guts, I would let you not attend this event. But since I love you, I must push you to attend, because I don't want to come back and say I told you so later. I want you to come back with me on fire so we can go do this together. So solve the problem and relentlessly promote. I hope that answers the question. Boley asks, what are your thoughts on having online training courses, product and business, that people can go through on their own, than having monthly Zooms where everyone gets together for live recaps, etc.? Does it always have to be live interactions, or a mix of courses and live a good idea for duplicatable growth? Live events, proximity matters. So what we're doing now, I hope is really effective for you. If we were in the same room doing this together, it would be a different experience, as you could probably imagine. This allows us to get to more people, so we should always use the technology, but don't just let that be a crutch and cause you to not promote the event and not have people there. We have people who watch our events on live stream, and then they get inspired and they come to our events in the future. Like as you're watching this, I hope you come to a GoPro Recruiting Mastery or Most Powerful Women or Beyond Leadership event at some point in the future, because I know the results that you're going to get from that proximity is going to be dramatic. So use technology, but don't give up on proximity. Don't give up on face-to-face, because face-to-face changes relationships. Leaders are born there. So sometimes what you're looking at right now is a distraction machine. It's popping up with notifications, and some of you got bored already with me and went over to Facebook and started scrolling again. Or you just can't help yourself. You got to go post, oh, I'm on this webinar. Forget about that for a minute. You know what I mean? We have a hard time to focus. So use technology for sure, but don't think it will replace the live events. All right. Liz asks, how do you start something local if there isn't anything in your area? Just start. Just start. If it's a luncheon you want to do to get people together, just start. If it's a home meeting, just start. If you want to do a weekly or a monthly recruiting event, a Super Saturday or a Thursday night meeting at a local hotel, just start. It was the scariest thing I ever did in my life, is do my first event, because the events that were in my local area were just awful. So I just started, and it changed my life. Just starting changed my whole life. So you might not think you can do it, but I promise you want to become an influencer, you got to take the step and say the words. Okay? So I think that's it for these questions in this section. And if you think about anything in the calendar section, I'll move forward and then we'll come back, and I'll move forward and we'll come back and answer more questions. And we might hit 3 hours, and it might go a little farther. I don't know. We got a lot to cover. So I'm going to give you as much as I can give you, as much as you can handle, and probably more than you can absorb right now this second. But be encouraged. Remember, I talked to you about write it down. Don't get overwhelmed. We're going to use this to create a strategy and a business plan for you that makes sense over the coming year. Okay? If you're part of GoPro Academy, I'm going to be guiding you every month, every step of the way, live coaching, answering all your questions, and keeping you consistent through the year and giving you the resources on top of that. So 1 was your events. 2 is the calendar, making sure that you're going to be responsible to maximize the calendar, and you're going to put it together while other people are sleeping. 3, campaigns. My favorite thing. I get so excited about campaigns. I can't even describe to you how excited I am, because here's what I know. As an influencer, our job is to keep people focused longer than they would have been, to create action when there wouldn't be action. And a campaign does that. And you know what most people have been trained to think like an employee their whole lives. Think about this for a moment. When you're a kid, you're 2 years old, you're taught to brush your teeth, or there's consequences. Make your bed, or there's consequences. Stop hitting your sister, or there's consequences, right? Finish your vegetables, or there's consequences. So we've been outer directed. We've been given tasks and assignments as children, and we learn to live within those boundaries. And then we go into the educational system, and the same thing happens. They give us the boundaries. We're taught when to read, when to study, when to take the test, when to go to lunch. We're given all these assignments, and we're learned to live inside that box. And then we go into the workplace, and the same thing happens. We're taught when to show up, when to have lunch, when to take a break. So we've been trained our entire lives to follow instructions, to follow the rules. We're waiting for assignments. And guess what? Most people on your team, you tell them to go build a business, they don't have the muscle to give themselves assignments. They need you to give them assignments. And these campaigns are this little distraction machine to say, hey, look, try this cool thing. And then you give them an assignment that's new and different, it feels like, but it still covers the same fundamental system and process that your company already has in place, or your leadership within your company already has in place. So think about this as things you can assign to the people in your organization. And trust me, for most people, they're just going to go like this. When you give them an assignment, they're going to go, oh, thank you. Finally, I have clarity. Your assignment gives them clarity. The campaign itself gives them clarity, and they emotionally relax, because right now they have too many decisions. They don't know where to go. So get them to a place where they emotionally react and just go execute the assignment. They're going to thank you. Now, at some point, you got to transition them from being dependent on your assignment to becoming independent and creating assignments for their team. But for most people, that takes quite a bit of learning to learn how to think that way. Okay? So let me give you some different campaigns. If you have home meetings in your business, your organization might promote home meetings, they might not, but I'm going to give you the concept. Understand this, there's different levels of duplication inside of network marketing, different levels. Everybody thinks, here's a myth inside of network marketing, only do what duplicates. That's a myth. If everybody in your team can't do it, then don't do it. That is bad thinking, okay? So what I want you to think about and consider is you're going to have a baseline activity that everybody does every day. They're going to use the product or service, they're going to talk to people, they're going to promote events, and they're going to develop themselves personally, right? Use the product, talk to people, promote events, personal development. Those fundamental things we can all agree on. Everybody should be using the product or service whenever possible. They should be a product of their own product. Everybody should be talking to people about the product or the opportunity. Everybody should be promoting events because events are where leaders are born. And everybody should be developing themselves, their inner game and their skills, right? Everybody should be doing that 15, 30 minutes a day of personal growth. And that's what changed my life and so many other million-dollar earners. So that's baseline. Now, if you've ever done a home meeting, go ahead and post in the comments, yes, I've done a home meeting. I will ask you, can everybody in your business do a home meeting? The answer is yes. Will they do a home meeting? Will everybody on your team do a home meeting? The answer is no, for a million reasons. So what some people would say was, if everybody is not going to do it, then we shouldn't do it. That's not true, because they're still very effective. Maybe 10% of the people who join your business, even if you tell everybody you got to have a home meeting, they won't do it. They don't want people coming into their house. They're too embarrassed. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to invite. They're scared to death. They don't have the support, whatever it happens to be. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's just a higher level of duplication. You'll have 10% of your team, 20% of your team that will duplicate doing those home meetings. Now, you getting up in front of people and doing the presentation, will everybody on the team doing that? No. They'll push play, they'll show a video, they'll do different other things, but they're not going to get up in front of the room and talk like I'm talking to you. That's a higher level of duplication. Will everybody go to the corporate events, destination events? Nope, that's a higher level of duplication. Will everybody go travel to another city and build in another city? The answer is no, but you should still do it because it's just a higher level of duplication. So inside of home meetings, not everybody's going to do it, but home meetings can get tired. It can be like this toy. Everybody joins, let's do a home meeting. So we go do a home meeting. And then they go, bloop, 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 and everybody goes, oh, cool, home meeting. After they've done 3 or 4, they're just over it. They're just, They don't want to do them anymore. Okay? So they get tired of it for whatever reason. So you need to come up with a campaign around home meetings. So maybe it is 5 and 5. Everybody on the team agrees to either attend or host a home meeting 5 times in 5 days. During one of the times in the calendar that you picked. We're all going to do the 5 and 5. Or we're all going to do the 10 and 10. All right? And everybody says, oh, okay, it's like this. Oh, it's fresh, it's new. We're all going to do 5 and 5. Okay, I'll go through that pain if everybody on the team will do it too. So if you come up with a campaign around home meetings for a season inside the calendar, then you're going to get better results. So maybe this is something, you do a campaign, let's call it a 5 and 5, just as a suggestion. You come up with whatever you want to do. Maybe it's a campaign around everybody in the whole organization agrees to do a home meeting on one particular day. Everybody does one on one particular day. And they do that presentation, they make it happen. So maybe it's one in that, maybe it's 5 and 5. You decide what you want it to be. These are just ideas. But if you do this in different parts of the year, it'll reinforce this as a foundational element and you'll get better results. If you do this 5 and 5 in the first 15 days of January, your productivity is going to be 10 times the average of the company that you're involved in. If you do this 5 and 5 in the first 2 weeks or the first 10 days of July, your productivity compared to the company is going to be 10 times higher. See what I mean? So it's just a different flavor of the same thing by creating a campaign around it, whatever that might be for you. Now I've got a million of these. Zoom meetings, people are using the Zoom technology today where they're getting people together and they're doing a presentation. Some organizations are exploding around the world and all they're doing is Zoom meetings. I would highly encourage them to get to face-to-face meetings in addition to that to build some more culture within their organization, some more stickiness. But the Zoom meetings, you can do a campaign around those too. Don't just have one leader do all of them all the time. What if you came up with a campaign just like home meetings, but they were Zoom meetings, that everybody was agreeing to host their own Zoom meeting? And how many people around the world could you have doing a Zoom meeting at the same time? Or a 7 and 7. Everybody agrees to do one Zoom meeting a day for 7 days. Or one a day for 30 days. Everybody does one Zoom meeting a day for their teams and their prospects for 30 straight days. You can't hold this for forever, but you can hold it inside of a campaign. Make sense? You'll get results by saying, no, look, it's blue. It's the Zoom one. And they go, oh, it's different. Okay, I'll go. So Zoom meetings is the second. Third, and these are in no particular order, luncheons. I'm a huge fan of luncheons. Huge fan of luncheons. And what is a luncheon? Let me tell you, this is one of the most efficient ways I know to get professional people to take a look at your business. You want to have sharper people, business people, professional people, successful people, take a look at your business. A luncheon is one of the campaigns I like the most. Because if you do a luncheon, let's say you find, here's all you need to do. Let me give you a step-by-step. One, find a reasonable restaurant, not a high-end, not a low-end, but a reasonable restaurant. You can get a lunch for 10 to 15 bucks. And a couple simple choices. You know, a meat choice, a vegetarian choice, something like that. And you get a little meeting room in that restaurant. And let's say it's Friday at noon. And you tell your team, invite the sharpest people they know to come to a business lunch to hear about a business idea. And you'll buy them lunch. The distributors agree to buy come to our lunch and I'll buy you lunch. It costs $10 to buy them lunch. You've got iced tea and you've got water and you've got 2 menu choices. They sit down for the business lunch, which this fits their mentality, the business person's mentality. They might not come to a home meeting. They might not log into a Zoom meeting, but a luncheon? Oh, on a Friday afternoon? Sure. Yeah, I'll come check it out. So they drive over. They got to have lunch anyway. They drive over. The distributor pays for their lunch. They sit down. They start eating. Somebody comes up and does a little 20-minute presentation explaining the product, explaining the opportunity, and telling them to get back with the person who invited them. They finish their lunch and they're back in the office in an hour and 15 minutes. Back in their office. And they were exposed to the opportunity in a professional setting, in a professional way. And they go, well, I could bring somebody to an event like this and maybe I can get some success. Now, luncheons have been enormously successful for me in finding leaders and finding sharp people. If I was you, I would encourage you, one, to do a luncheon yourself, right? To learn how to do it. Find a location and do a luncheon. And put this into your method of operation in your local town because you're going to get great results. And you're going to find that people can invite very easily to a luncheon like that. 2 is to come up with a luncheon campaign. What if you learn how to do it and then you create a little training within your organization on how to do it. You provide a little presentation outline, the handouts that you're going to use, and you come up with a campaign that says the first Friday of every month, everybody on the team is going to host a luncheon. There's either going to host or attend a luncheon in every city in the world. That campaign, the first Friday of every month, that campaign alone can add 20% to your year. Easy, 20 to 30%, no problem. That luncheon. Now, is it going to require some leadership by you to make that happen? Some vision casting by you in order to make that happen? The answer is yes. But those luncheons are vital, okay? I have 14 more of these. I've gone through 3. What time is it? We've been going 50 minutes? Yeah. All right, let me do this. I got a lot to cover. But look, we're gonna do everything we can to try and squeeze this into 3 hours. But do you have any questions that have popped up? Let me just look at this and see if is this session going to have a replay? Yes, the answer is yes, Gabe. Session's going to have a replay and you'll get access to it right away. The people who it's freezing up, it's the internet speed on your side. If you keep trying to refresh, that will help. If not, then there's just an internet speed issue. Can you clarify what you mean by home meetings? Is this a team meeting or event? A home business presentation. Whether you're just sampling the product or you're showing people how the product or opportunity works, that type of a home meeting. That's what I mean by that. In charge of our condo community Christmas party. Are you my upline? And I can't wait to watch the rest of the replay. Well, I'm your virtual upline through GoPro Academy and through this process. Exactly what you cover at the luncheon is just an abbreviated overview. You're going to cover the company, the product, the compensation plan in summary, the timing, and the support that would be involved if they got in, if they decided to get connected with the organization or use the product, and then tell them to get back to the person who invited them. Simple as that. So here's what I will do. Again, Marina will look at questions while we take a quick break, but we'll take a quick bathroom break, and we're going to go through all of this. This is high-level stuff. This is the stuff that I use all over the world with the top people in the world. So I'm giving to you, assuming that you're going to be $1 million a year earner and above. I know you have the capability. Not all of you are going to do it, but all of you could if you really decided to step into it. There's no barrier, really, that would hold you back from really achieving your full potential inside of this business, okay? So we're going to take a 3-minute break. We'll be back and answer some more questions, and we'll keep going with the other 14 campaigns to be able to help you make the next 12 to 18 months the best of your lives. See you in 3 minutes.